Can I just get a round of applause for the casting crew? My name is Christie Lee Hughes, and on a personal note, I've had the pleasure of being friends with Shevaun for a few years, and I am just honored and privileged to see her work on the big screen, knowing that she poured her heart and soul into this film, and I think that showed tonight. We're just going to have a few questions before we get to the red carpet. So to start off, the first question is for Susan, the director. What grabbed you about the script?
I really felt that this story, I love stories that explore the human condition, and this story really did that, because I think when you explore the human condition, you explore an element of yourself. And I think what Shevaun said, earlier, it's all about what sustains the human condition of the human heart. And there's all these what-if questions. I don't know anybody who hasn't had a what-if question in their life where they've gone, if I'd only done this differently. And you wonder about that, and I think this film explores that, because we've all had those types of questions. And it was also, for me, beautifully written and textured in a way that was exciting for me to be able to play with this fantasy layer and this reality layer as well.
Wonderful. You did a wonderful job. The next question is for Brandon, who plays Carl Bakley. What would you say drew you to the role when you first read the script?
What drew me to the role? Okay, well, first of all, hats off to everybody up here. You all did a great job, and it's such an honor to be a part of this. Shevaun's story was such a beautifully written story and very prolific, especially when you kind of transport yourself back in time to, what was it, the 50s? When that 40s? 40s? It was 2 years ago when we shot it, so I knew I was in the vicinity. But yeah, it was such a prolific story for back then, and Carl was, he's kind of your typical guy who you look at him and you look at things that he's done and ways he's lived his life, and he's kind of a son of a bitch when you look at him, but in his mind, everything makes sense. And his poor wife, of course, suffered as a result of that. And there are so many stories that go on, every day. Not to mention, back then, there were so many women that kind of gave up who they were, what they wanted, what their dreams were for guys like Carl. So it was fun to kind of speak for that.
And how did you make it work with your schedule with General Hospital? How did you steal time away to get to Wisconsin?
It was a complete accident. It just so happened that we had 2 weeks off scheduled during the scheduled filming time of the morning hour. So it was one of those things that was just meant to happen.
Awesome. And that you're inspired to write this story. How did you go about taking a classic piece of literature, The Story of an Hour, to make it your own?
I don't know how many of you have read The Story of an Hour by Kate Shepard. She's one of my favorite authors. She wrote Reawakening. But I've always been drawn to that particular story because growing up with a mother like I did and a family like I did, and I don't know that I asked my mom one time, because she always used to tell me these stories about, being offered the original castrata in Pippin, and I always used to ask her, why didn't you do that? And she said, I don't think I realized I was giving it up, until it was too late. And I love my family, and she loved her family, and I don't think you realize in the moment just the extent of the consequences in the choices that you're making. I mean, there are two parallel lines that we walk in life, and if I look in this direction, I might catch a glimpse of myself in 20 years. 20 years of insight and wisdom, and 20 years later having lived the life that I still haven't lived right now. And I wanted to bring that element to the screen. It's kind of like a living piece of poetry. And because I grew up in the theater, I set it there because it was most comfortable, and I wanted to express that living fantasy, that shock of what the morning hour is. It's a space and time not defined by logic or reason, where basically truth and fantasy and delusion converge, and it happens to us when we suffer great losses, and we go there without conscious thought, but it's the process of reawakening and what it leads us back to, which is truly a resurrection. So I hope that makes sense. Sounded good though, right?
And what was to make this short, what would you say was the toughest part about making The Mourning Hour?
Well, I think everyone can, I see a lot of independent, this is a room of independent filmmakers. What isn't hard about that? You're begging and you're borrowing and you're calling and you're saying please, and it costs you every single time a piece of your soul and serenity. And you know, for me, probably because I'm a little bit anal retentive, I like to be in charge. I think that I can do it, and yeah, I wanted to create work that people respected as an actress, writer, and producer. And I just happen to be continually getting better at it as I go along. But adding the cello into the mix was something that I don't know I'd volunteer for again.
And you learned to play the cello for this role.
I mean, I did. I pity anyone who was on set that day as to how it sounded, but I worked really hard. It's so amazing because a week after we shot, I finally got it in my body, and I called up April, the most wonderful coach in the world, and I said, oh my God, I think I got it, and we just finished shooting. So, yeah.
Okay, so Robert plays Stan Bagley. You're also a very prolific actor. How did you find time in your schedule to fly to Wisconsin and film this?
I don't remember. I might have been looking for my next job at that point.
In Wisconsin or here in LA?
What's that?
You were looking in Wisconsin for
No,
your
I
next
was
job?
looking.
Okay.
What's that? I can't remember. I can't honestly remember what I just finished. It seems like a long time ago. I just wanted to say it's nice to be able to, when you look back on something like this, and we all have these kind of stories of being able to connect the dots. The connecting dot for us was Heroes. I went from Prison Break to work on Heroes, and Shevaun was guest starring on it, and she had a really stinky trailer, and I offered my trailer up, and that's how we got to be.
Do you want to elaborate on the stinky trailer?
I don't know what it was, but it was stinky, and she was a guest star, and they wouldn't move her. And I said, hey, you can use my trailer. So, and April was coaching the deaf actress on the show, Deanne Bray, was her name, I think. And Shevaun invited me to see a screening of her last film. And I'm still envious of independent filmmakers. I'm about to hopefully do it myself here pretty soon, but anybody who does it, hats off to them. She wore many hats on this and did so many different things. I think the only thing you didn't do was probably shovel snow, but you did it. Did you shovel snow?
I did that too.
And Susan, of course, and anybody who takes the time to, you know, be a part of these kind of films that you love the story of, it's a great time to do it. So I hooked up April with Shevaun, and there you go with your cello. But it was a great labor of love for all of us.
Yeah.
To do. I usually play his role.
Brandon.
I usually play the shits, you know, the son of a bitches. And when she said read the script, I said, yeah, it's going to be the other guy, right? She said, no, I want you to play the guy. So it was nice to play the good guy who almost got the girl.
And Alistair, you play Silas. Was this your first film?
No, I'd actually done 2 films before this. One was in West Virginia, and it was an independent film. And another one was in Wisconsin, and it was Into the Wake. And
wow.
Yeah,
So what was your favorite part about filming The Mourning Hour?
My favorite part of it was hanging out with Kai, because he was a delightful little boy, except he may have been difficult at some times, but no, okay, well...
Just had weapons.
Yes. But it was wonderful, and it's really nice being so close to such wonderful actors, and so I really hope that this is what I do when I grow up.
And speaking of that, when you grow up, what do you have lined up next? I hear you're working on another film?
I just finished a short film in the summer, and it was a short film in Madison called The Half of Me That's Him.
Which half are you?
No, it's actually about a little adolescent teen and his father, and they clash. So he's got some questions in his life that he brings up.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
Where do you see your future taking you?
Where do I see it taking me? You know, I just love to create, and the biggest difficulty for me this year has been when you feel stripped. I think really what happened was kind of a schism, because I think when you lose half of one of your parents, it really forces you to go inside and feel like, because you're a product of those two people, and that's how you were raised. And so I've done a lot of self-exploration, and I want to continue to create. I don't care where that takes me. I love it all. I love words on a paper, and I love it when people express something that we all feel in a new and innovative way, and I want to do that. And I will do whatever I have to do it. Hire me, because you will never be disappointed, because I will work harder than anyone else, because I love it so much, and I love it for the right reasons. And I think that's a rarity here. And I'm honored that I found people who love it for all the right reasons and do it for all the right reasons, and they don't do it for a paycheck. They do it for the craft, and that's really important to me, especially when I'm putting together a team.
Okay, so just one question for everybody, and then we'll wrap it up. What do you have next? What are you working on now, or what's coming next? Susan, you can answer first.
Well, my writing partner, Sydney Suskin, and I are in contract negotiations on our first pilot that we wrote together. So, a number of other projects, but we're very excited about this because it's with the network, so we'll see where that's going to take us. But yeah, and I hope that I get to continue to direct and also collaborate with incredible people like I did on this film, because I think making a movie, like they say, it takes a village. It really takes a film village to raise a film baby, and that's what this was.
It was a beautiful baby. And Brandon, you're about to have a baby?
Speaking of babies,
my
next project is fatherhood, actually. My wife and I are expecting a baby in January, and there's no other job that I'm more excited for, but I just finished a film a month and a half ago or so, and I'm really anticipating my next role, so yeah.
Awesome, congratulations.
I'm available.
Hire Shevaun.
No, I've been focusing a lot on my writing. Right now, my main concern after this event has been the thriller that I'm writing, which is kind of a blend of psychological thriller and good old scary house home invasion horror. And I'm developing it with some really wonderful people, and that's all I'll say about that. But I am just really excited for a new year.
I just shot Jay Spader asked me to come in and do an episode of Blacklist, and very it's called The Courier. It should be on in about 3-4 weeks. Big series that I did. Frank Darabont created, wrote, and directed Shawshank Redemption years ago. Has a new series out called Mob City. Premieres December 4th on TNT. That's going to be a beautiful series. And I just got cast in a movie I can't tell you I got cast in because they told me I can't tell you yet. I'll give you a clue. It's based on a book, and it's part 3 and 4 of the book.
And Alistair?
Anyone?
School.
Awesome.